In this video, we are going to see about all this interface of about this Visual Studio. What are the different things which are available here? And the second thing we are going to see about how to update this message, where we can see means how to change this message from here by changing some code in the Visual Studio. First of all, we'll try to see means how it is. When we open this project, we can see we do have different folders, and we'll try to just to understand means what does this means one by one. So basically, let's go to the first, which is nothing but .vs code is the one folder which is just settings related to the JSONs. You can see these are the something which is related to this Visual Studio Code. We don't need to do anything. Means whatever the settings which we need for this editor, like Visual Studio Editor, that will be set here in this setting.json. And this launch is something which is whenever it is launched, that type of setting when it is needed. We don't change these two files. The next is assets. In assets, this is a png icon.png file, which is an image file, which is nothing but whatever the images file, whatever the other project files which we need. And we whatever suppose we do need to specify some images in our project, then that can be placed it here. So this is one default icon file which is available. You can see it here, but we can, if you want, we can get some other images, and that can be placed in this assets folder. Next is this distribution. So distribution is something which is right now is empty, but whenever we wanted to share our visuals code to anyone else, or our projects related information or files to anyone else, then that can be placed it here, and then from here we can do that sharing with others. So that is something which we can do with this dist folder. Then node modules is something which is again all the dependencies. What are the project dependencies? Like there are various codes which is coming by default for many things, and that is written somewhere. Like we don't need to write all the codes from basic. So that is something which is placed in here, and there are different libraries or dependencies which are available here. You can see for color, then there are like axis, array, brush, then collection. So these are different, but that will be internally used wherever required. We don't need to write all the code, so it is readily available, as you can say. Then comes to the source file folder, which is nothing but settings.ts and visuals.ts. So this is nothing but the TypeScript files which are basically related to our actual coding. So settings dot ts is something which is internally created by this, and you can see this is something which is about visual settings. Whatever the settings which we are going to have it in the report, that comes as by default. Basically, we don't need to worry about this file as well at the first place. Main important file is visual.ts, which is something which is we actually write the code. Means whatever the message, as we have seen in the previous video as well, we can see this update count is one message which is available, and then we do have this update which is available. So basically, if you just try to understand this file right from top, I mean, this is just a commented file description, so it is not required. You can just remove it, and then you can see, so these are some of the import statement. So import statement is something which is there is so much code which is getting automatically generated by the tool, which must be taking from somewhere. So these imports are nothing but the library file. So you can see powerbi.extensibility, then visual constructor options, visual update options. So these are some of the classes. So you, for this you need to understand class and interface. So you can see this statement as well. We search class visual implements iVisual. So iVisual is something which coming from this visuals interface, and in this we do have this class, and it does have this constructor and update options. So let's try to understand first what is interface and what is class. So this is one example, I think, means which may be helpful for you to understand what is interface and class. So interface is one of one level, as like first level, where we can say this is the engine. Suppose we are taking a vehicle example. So vehicle has an engine, however there are two operations, which is speed up and change gear. So these are the two operations which can be performed on this engine. So these are also nothing but we can implement these two methods in a class, but we can implement it from interface. So this engine may be a different engine, like different capacity, like 100 cc, or maybe 110 cc. That type of engine can be possible. but from the out of that means their operations will be same. So maybe this class is implementing this method, the other class is also implementing this method. However, it can perform some other steps in this as well, with some customized thing. So that is also can be possible with this interface. So this is an example, just understanding means about this interface and class. You can understand the interface as a parent and class is a child. So in class we do have different operations that can be inherited from the interface. So this is one concept. If you are aware about the object oriented concepts, then you might understand these concepts very well. If you are not aware about that, then you can just google it and just try to understand the classes and interface, so that it will be helpful for you to understand it. Coming to this code, you can say this is again means when we say implements iVisual. So iVisual is an interface which is implemented by this class, and in this class there are two options, which is a constructor and update. So these are the two methods which are available, and then there is a static one as well. So but we don't need to worry about this right now. When so what I will just tell you what does this two methods do. So the first constructor, so this constructor is called whenever the application is initialized, means whenever this application is run, at that time only this constructor will be called, and it is having the visual constructor options. So visual constructor options are coming from this particular interface, which is stored in this particular library. It does have written this code about this constructor, and this will be the name of that constructor only. And then we do have created some variables which are taking some create element, which is a p, and who suppose if you are aware about the HTML code, then you will understand this elements which are nothing but the, then we do have this update count. So you can say document dot create text node, this is appended to this new p is nothing but this one, which is HTML element of the paragraph. So that is something which is a p1. So you can see it here. And then it is having this dot text dot node is equal to document dot create node text node. So this is something which is we can see how this can work with the example as well. Now there is an update option as well. So this is an operation. So basically every class will have methods, like one is a constructor and other is anything, means you can put or so this is one method which is created as a update. But if you want, means we can change it. But if you change these options, let's say means I just wanted to change this name, then you might see that there is an error in this visual. So you can say this is it's saying that it is incorrectly implements interface iVisual. So property update is missing in type visual, but this is not available. This new update method is not available in this particular interface. So whatever the code is written, so this update is basically what this update is doing. Whenever we select any of these fields, then this update counts gets increased. You can see means whatever times means I just, if I just click on this update gets increased. So this is done by this particular update method. So in this update you can see there are some functions which is written, which you can see this dot update count plus plus. So this is an increment of the count. So this dot update dot count is nothing but this is the text node, which is this is nothing but this dot settings, which is coming from this data views. And so in this data views, it is just a data views is nothing but these are the views. Whenever it is clicked, basically that data views are taken in this particular settings, and then this settings has been stored as this, and then it is updated one by one. So that is something which is done by this update method. We don't need to worry about this. We can just delete this. We don't need all these things, just to make this clean as well, and we'll just try to delete this as well. So this is something which is we can do. Let's try to see some other options which is available here, which is on style, which is nothing but a visual dot lace. So now lace is again an extension to the CSS. So CSS cascading style sheet. This is something which is related to the design of the files, what type of font size you want, whether it is you want it to have bold or italic, what type of color you want in the background, that kind of things which we can specify in this dotless file. So you can see it here. This is specified as yellow, and this font size, if you go back, this is the font size of this particular text box, which is 20 pixel now. And if you just if you just make it as a 60 or something means, and then just try to save it and go back, and if you just try to refresh it, you can see this font has been increased. Or if you wanted to make this as a red as well, then we can make it as a red as well. This is something which is this color, this background color. If you just refresh it, we can see this is has been become as red. So this is how we can reflect our changes in that .less file. So that is visuals.less. Then this capabilities.json, package log.json. Now if you can see, this is something which is having a data roles object. So data roles is something which is maybe related to the permissions or something which is we can have this. So this is something which is internally related to the data roles. You can say how it is categorized and all those things which are available. There are objects which is available. So then package lock, so this is something again, some dependencies, what are the project dependencies which are available there, you can, that is stored it here. So whatever you can see, so whatever you have this in, like whatever this d3 or .json files which are available here, from where it is taking, so that is something which is mentioned here, means for d3 what is the version of d3. So this is something which is again model dependencies we can say. So these all things which are available here means, and from where it is taking. So this is just configuration things which we can say, and this is internally created. Now we do have this package .json again, means this is something similar which is coming to these visuals. You can say what from wherever it is taking, like libraries, then PBIVs, so something which is, this is again an interface, we can see that kind of things which are available here. Then PBIVs is something which is, this is now it's not formatted, but if you want to format, you can just right click on it and just format document. You can under again you see this structure like visuals, then you can say assets, which is an again icon here, then external JS, if there are any JavaScript use externally, then style. So this is basically specifying the path, like where the styles are stored, like visual.less. Capabilities are in capabilities.json. Dependencies, there is no dependency, so it is mentioned as null. So this is how it is showing it now here. Now this test bar chart is again Power BI, so we don't need to worry about that. And then tsconfig.json is this is something TypeScript file configuration where you can see some of the configuration details about this. We don't need to worry about this TSL int files. This is again something which is just specifying the directory and rules if there are anything. And this HTML file, we should not worry about that. This is something which is internally created and we should not worry about that. So we are not going to change anything in this file. Basically, this is what we have in this file. This is basically the settings.ts, and visual.ts is one the two files which we can say we need to update, means when we create any visuals. Now we have got some understanding how these visuals interact with our Power BI visuals. We will try to add something which is more meaningful in these visuals. We'll just try to delete this some of the code which is not necessary at the moment. First of all, let's try to delete this one. These are just a comment. I am just deleting this as well, and this code as well. So this is something which is I don't want it right now. I will delete this code as well, which is just to clean up. I can delete this as well. Then I don't need this all import, like because I have just deleted many of the code below, so just I'm deleting this. So now this is very much clean. Now if you just refresh it, you can see there is nothing in this visuals, and we cannot see anything now right now here in this. Now let's try to add something which is which will come here. So you can see this parameter which is available, which is options, and which is nothing but a visual constructor option. So there are some various options which are available. So if you just say options dot element, then we can append something which is more meaningful to this. For that, we can just create one variable which is we can say test output. And if you are aware about the HTML things, then we can have this document dot create element. So if you just have worked on HTML before, you can understand this. We can create an element, and in this we can mention there are various things which are available, like you can see h1, header, footer, and all those things. So we will just try to mention as h1. We are just trying to create this h1 as header one element, and that is we are going to store in this test output. Now what we can do, we can add some uh, out like text message to this particular text output variable. So we can, what you can do, we can mention as text content here. So this is something which is a method available here, and we can mention that this is test message. So this is something which is, I have added it. Now what we can do, we can just append this here in this as test output. So if you do this, now we'll try to see means how this changes our visual. So let's see, save it, and we'll go to the visuals. And if you just try to refresh it, when we try to refresh it, you can see this message has been appeared here now, whatever we have written in that particular code. This is how we can render our message. In that means this is just an example, just to use one create element of the header button, and that can be possible to be displayed in the visuals. So this is what I wanted to show you in this video. We have seen the interface of this particular Visual Studio. Then just we have seen how to render one text message to the visual. So this is what we have seen. This is not meaningful. However, we will try to see in the next video with something which is more meaningful in terms of data, and we can create one visuals in that video.